In the final podcast for this unit, I'm going to go off book a little bit. I'm going to talk about something that I believe is extremely important and that is not covered as well in your book as I'd like it to be, and that is giving feedback, especially giving feedback to those that you supervise or to those that you employ. This is often a very controversial part of managerial communication. It's something that I spend a lot of my time doing as Newman's provost. Every April, I have to evaluate just about everything that moves at Newman University. And it places always the manager in a difficult position because there are two different temptations that you have to avoid. You have to avoid just being negative and harping and finding everything wrong with somebody. On the other hand, you have to avoid simply saying nothing but positive about a person, because the purpose of employee feedback, well, there are several purposes for employee feedback in a written form. One is to help the employee improve. And no employee is perfect. No employee doesn't have things they have to work on, and simply saying that everything that this or that employee does is perfect and wonderful and they're the best thing since Mary Poppins isn't going to help them develop professionally. The second thing that you have to be aware of when you're conducting employee feedback is that sometimes you're creating a case to dismiss somebody. Sometimes you're building evidence, you're giving people a chance to prove themselves, but you're building evidence that may have to stand up in a court of law someday that says that this person was given chances to improve and they didn't. And you have to document those things. So it does not serve your employee to say nothing but bad or good about them. And it does not serve your institution to ignore real problems and hope that they'll go away someday, because sometimes they don't, and if you haven't documented the problems, you will find yourself having a very difficult time firing somebody. Let's take a look at our old friend Professor Flagbag when he's called into the dean's office to answer for some of the things that he said to students, and the dean finds herself trying to give him some feedback. And I want you to watch for what I would consider to be the two major mistakes that the dean makes in giving this feedback.
Flagbag, what kind of idiot are you?
Gee, that is a tough one. There are so many to choose from. Perhaps if you gave me a list, I could choose the one that fits the best.
Would you just be serious for once in your overeducated life?
Well, I am clearly not an idiot savant. If I were, I would be better at math.
Do you realize that I have spent the last 2 hours talking to Brady Anderson's parents, who are furious that you do not treat their child like an adult?
Gee, I can't imagine why I wouldn't.
Did you really tell Brady that his paper was the silliest thing you have read in your life?
Yes, I did.
Why would you say a thing like that?
Because it was the silliest thing I have read in my life. He was comparing avocados to the French Revolution.
Well, okay, that is pretty silly. But that doesn't mean you should say it is silly.
Is the dean suggesting that I should lie to our students? I can't wait until the student newspaper gets a hold of that.
And did you really say, tenure means never having to say you're sorry?
I did.
Why did you say that?
Because it does.
It does not.
It most certainly does.
I demand that you apologize to Brady and his parents.
No.
Why not?
Because I have tenure.
Do you really want to play that game?
If I did not really want to play that game, I wouldn't have gotten a doctorate. I would have played some other game that pays more.
If you don't apologize to Brady, I will give you nothing but freshman composition courses next year.
You gave me nothing but freshman composition courses last year.
I will move your office to the basement of the psychology building with all of the rats.
I don't care where my office is. I haven't been in my office for 10 years.
You haven't. Why not?
Because I have tenure.
If you don't apologize to Brady, I will pull your hair, make you write bad checks, and tell everybody that you kissed Professor Stevens.
I don't care.
I will sneak into your house and reprogram your VCR to tape every episode of The Biggest Loser for the next 10 years.
I don't have a VCR.
I will put Doggy Doo on your porch and light it on fire and then ring the doorbell and run.
Well, you will do what you must do. That, after all, is why you are the dean.
Flagbag, you are going to be sorry.
Apparently I'm not.
Do you notice them? Well, first, the dean begins in a hostile environment. She creates a hostile situation when she doesn't have to. She starts off by asking Flagbag what kind of idiot he is, and of bringing up everything in an accusatory way, not really asking him for his side of the story. The second thing that happens is that the dean loses control of the situation. She allows Flagbag to use his sarcasm and his intellect to take over the situation, and by the end of the discussion, she's sort of ranting and sounding like a crazy person. And of course, I exaggerate a little bit when I create these scenarios, but this is the sort of thing that happens when somebody is trying to overplay their hand. They find out that they don't have as much power as they thought they had, and very often they lose control of the situation. They lose their respect as an authority figure. Feedback should be smart, and that means not only that it should be intelligent, but that it should be these 5 things, which we can talk about with the acronym SMART, that should be part of any feedback that you give to employees or people that you supervise, or even in certain situations to people that supervise you, because very often employees will ask that feedback go up the chain as well as down. First, feedback should be specific, whether it's positive or negative. Don't just say, "You're not doing a very good job around here," or "You're doing a great job." Specifically state what the employee does well, and specifically state what the employee, or employer in some cases, needs to work on. Feedback and the goals associated with the feedback should be measurable. The person should know when they have accomplished the goal that you and they set for their performance. It should be achievable. It should not be something so difficult or so beyond where they are right now that they can't achieve it. That'll just make them depressed. It should be relevant to their job. It shouldn't be something that's tangential to the job that they're hired and paid to do. And it should be timely, or it should be time-bound. And this means that when you set goals as part of a feedback session, those goals should have a time when they are supposed to be accomplished. So rather than saying you need to be producing X number of widgets someday, you say that by June 16th you should be producing X, or typing so many words per minute, or mastering these computer programs, or whatever it is that you believe that the person that you're evaluating needs to accomplish. Put a date by when that should happen. This is so they can know if they've achieved it or not, and that can be part of the follow-up. Finally, let's end with another video that gives 5 good tips for giving good feedback, meaningful feedback to employees. And I'll scroll up on the left-hand column each of the points that this video makes as it makes it.
How to give written feedback at work. Although feedback in the workplace is often taken as criticism, it's a valuable tool in giving clear-cut direction to improve job performance for both supervisor and employee. You will need an email or note and a follow-up. Step 1. Ask your employee for their opinion on a topic before giving written feedback. Your feedback may have a greater impact if they have a chance to explain themselves first. You may also learn more about the issue, something that could change your assessment of the situation. Be cognizant of employees' emotional well-being. That doesn't mean ignoring problems or eliminating criticism, but it also means you needn't tear into them mercilessly. Step 2. Be as specific and direct as possible when you provide written feedback. If you're vague and inconsistent, your employees will have a difficult time deciphering what you want. Practice makes perfect, so be sure to offer regular feedback. Send out a weekly or monthly email that offers both praise and a summary of challenges. Step 3. Focus on the employee's strengths. Even if you ultimately aim to improve a certain area of performance, determine their strong suits and apply those factors to their weaknesses. Step 4. Submit your feedback and note that the recipient is invited to respond. Even if they don't have an immediate response, recognize that they may return to the issue at hand if questions crop up at a later date. Step 5. Follow up with another email or quick note to check whether the employee has corrected or improved the situation. Your follow-up indicates effective and thorough leadership and shows the employee his or her work has value.